Good afternoon. We are here as a part of project Wszystko, jest filozofią on behalf of Fundacja Wadomekum. I am thrilled to introduce you Feriel Benzina. She is from Tunisia. She is 40 years old, international career-wise. She finished Tunisian University, applied in languages, and she is a single mother of two living here in Poland. She used to live in many countries before. That was in Egypt, Poland, Switzerland, France, and finally she came back to Poland. So, Feriel, just as an introduction question, what was your life in Tunisia? What did you do? Can you describe?
Yeah, Tunisia is like kind of those Arab countries which are really open-minded people there. I lived in a very good family. I was a happy child. My parents did everything to teach us the best. I used to live like anyone in my age, even here in Poland, even anywhere. So I had like Tunisia. It was funny. It was nice. It's all my family there, my friends. All my life was there, and I had a normal life, like anyone.
Okay, so what was the reason for changes? Like, what happened that you moved out from there?
Well, I think I was so stupid to get married really, really young.
So how old were you?
I was almost 22, 23.
Yeah.
I met my ex-husband, who wasn't Tunisian, so I had to move with him to his country.
Where was he from?
He was from Egypt.
Right.
So we moved to Egypt, and everything started there. So for his career and everything, we moved here to Poland, and that's how it started.
All right. So, like in the beginning, you just followed your husband.
Yeah,
basically. Mm-hmm. Okay. But now, like, you're the mother of two, single in Poland.
I'm not following any other husband. I'm not. No. Now it's okay.
Okay, so now it's by your choice, I guess. I have prepared something that you would call the types of personalities if we talk about emigration. It is done by Paleczny Tadeusz. He's a sociologist of the culture. And I would like to tell you a few words about each of kind and see like what you see yourself. Yeah, okay. What kind of emigrant are you? Okay, so first one is a vagabond. They are the people who cannot settle. Basically, you would call them the citizens of the world. They treat emigration as a tool to achieving their personal goals. And they emigrate by their choice. It's just the way of life. The second one is adventure seeker, and the adventure seeker, it's like in history we would say they were the people, for example, who settled the New World, the Americas, right? So they're people that they cannot like kind of accept the rigid social frames, and they emigrate for the opportunity, kind of buying the lottery ticket, right? To see it can go good, it can go wrong. Yeah, let's give ourselves a chance. They basically want to drop the commitments, right? So that's the second one. The third one is explorer. Their drive is to know, to find out what other places look like, what are the rules in different parts, how they are functioning. They are not interested in applying their culture over there, but they are more interested in learning about new culture. They are more interesting about understanding but not judging. So that's the third one, that's explorer. And the fourth and the fifth one, I guess it's not the case if we talk about you, but I'm going to still introduce this type. So the fourth one is a political or economic exile. So that's simply somebody that is escaping, right? Is escaping because the living conditions are so difficult, or they are escaping because of the political issues. They can be probably the most cases is when they are like oppressed by the politics. It often happens when the rules in the country are changing, and they try to escape from the new rules. They often stay in a kind of historical waiting room but basically they want to go back to their motherland. Okay, and the fifth one, sorry, they are the traitors. So sometimes they are literally the traitors, but more often they are like kind of non-conformists. So one day they are the traitors, but like in a decade or two they are the heroes, right? So like the last two are like more about politics, not personal reasons. So what's your story?
I see myself in that explorer more.
All right.
Yeah.
So why is that?
Because I like seriously to know and to see new things that I didn't have in my culture, for example.
All right.
New places.
Okay.
New weather, especially. To discover other kind of thinking. It's totally different from where I used to live or where I grew up. Or I see myself more, especially that I really like traveling. I like the other culture. I love history. I love I'm very. I'm always, especially here in Poland. I started to focus more on the world wars, to visit the sites, to read about it more. So I see myself more explorer than anything else.
Right. So how is it for you, like accepting the new culture? Because obviously, like in our mentality, is when you see something new, then like the first thing is to judge it. How is it in your head?
When I came first to Poland, I was veiled because I'm Muslim.
So you had hijab on, yeah?
Exactly. So at that time, people were really scared of me. Like whenever they see me, they call me terrorista, go to your country. Especially that I'm always laughing. I'm a very sociable person. I'm not. First, I was a little bit like. Why they are doing this in Europe? Normally they are open-minded more than anyone else.
Yeah, but you lived in so many countries in Europe, and
in France, for example, they don't judge people by their looking. Honestly, here maybe in Poland, because I think the only one in Gdańsk at that time who was veiled, and it was really weird for them. It happened to me like. Funny stories. For example, I was living in a high place, so I had to take the elevator each time I want to go out. So sometimes when the elevator opens and they see me, they go back. After taking off the hijab, when the elevator was open up, they, good morning, hi, you have really nice hair. They started to talk to me, and people changed, honestly. But with time, I feel like Poland is changing, especially with the young people.
How long have you been living here?
Since 2013.
Correct. So that's 8 years.
Yeah, almost 8 years. I feel like it changed a lot. Also because there are a lot of multinational things opening in Poland, so they are bringing people from outside. Polish started to see different people than them. That's why maybe I think it's...
Okay, so what was the worst that happened to you?
The worst thing happened to me in Poland. It was in Gdańsk, in Arena Park. Regan Park. I was at that time with my ex-husband and my 2 kids. We take the bikes, and there was a guy just sitting next to us. He was playing with his dog and everything. We didn't even pay attention. When we started to go back home with the kids, the guy was like walking behind, especially me, and he came and he took a knife over me.
Oh, right. Okay.
He wanted to attack
that's scary.
me. Yeah, it was really scary. I would never forget that day. So we called the police. They came maybe in not even 2 minutes. And when they asked him, he said, "No, I didn't follow her. I don't have even a knife. I don't have any arm. I don't have."
Did he say anything?
Bad words.
Right.
And terrorist. Yeah. And still remember his face, that guy. And that's it. The police came, and it was
sorted out. Yeah, but I imagine you will remember that.
Even my kids till today they remember that.
Yeah, and how old were they?
At that time they were 7 and 8.
Right, so they remember it well, I guess.
Yeah. Especially that it was the first day they are going to learn to bike, so they will never forget it.
Okay, so you came to Poland, right? And you, what was your first impression? Like, because like when you are in another country, then your I guess your thoughts and opinions, they change during the time you live in that country. So what was the first opinions? What were the first thoughts?
The first thing I remember when I was going out from the airport in Warsaw, and it was September, I was shocked how much it was cold. Because normally in September, for example, in Tunisia, which is not a very hot country, like in the Middle East or whatever, but September
it's hot for us, believe me.
Yeah, I know. Now I know. So normally the weather has to be fresh. No, it was freaking cold, like cold. This was the first thing.
Okay.
And then the first impression I had about Poland, like when I arrived, the nature.
Right. Oh, it's very different, isn't it? Yeah.
The trees are different, the colors of the trees are different, everything is different.
But are you comparing it to Tunisia now?
Yeah, I'm comparing to Tunisia and Egypt where I used to live. It's very beautiful. The nature was amazing, and you feel like it's a virgin nature. It's not dirty. It's not touched. It's not.
You see, that's the thing that many foreign people say, that Poland is a clean country.
Yeah.
It's like we don't know that before we talk to another people, or before we travel, obviously.
I was living in France, and I was really shocked in everything in France. And when I was living there, people was telling me, "Come on, you're talking about Poland." I say, "Just go and see Poland. Poland is more clean than France. Whenever you have an appointment in anything governmental, it's on time. People are for example, they respect even the lights and everything. In France, no, never. So no, it's really clean. It's really beautiful. It's totally different, to be honest."
Nice to hear. The other thing I was talking about with foreign people, like what was funny for you, they were always saying that the paid toilets. What's your opinion on that? But it was especially with Americans, Canadians and Americans. They would say, "Wah ha ha, you have to pay to have a pee." Wah ha ha.
I saw this in so many countries, so for me it wasn't that.
So maybe
shocking.
it's not the Poland Canadian thing, but the European Canadian or United States thing. So
but
maybe
that's because I saw this a lot. Even in Tunisia, they have some places you have to pay, so I know that.
Okay, so you're in Poland for a while now. How was it changing? How your thoughts about Poland were changing?
People, I think, from my point of view, people became more open-minded than before.
But do you think it's about the hijab thing? Like you took the hijab off and then everybody...
No. Okay. Really, I feel like they really changed. They are becoming more open to others. I think this country, with the youth they are having now, the young people, and I think it will give it 10 more years, and it will change totally.
I totally agree with you with that. Yeah.
And it's really opening to everything. To economically speaking, in culture, in socially even, it will change. But the good thing I love in Poland and Polish people, they always have to leave their touch. We are Polish. This will never change.
Yeah, the identity is strong.
The identity, it's really strong, and I like that in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that you lived in so many countries in Europe so far, and finally you chose Poland. So why did you make that decision?
Why? Why it's okay? Why? Because I was broken in Poland. I had like a big shock in my life in Poland. And honestly, when I went out, I wanted to change my life, to forget everything happened. But when we left Poland, me and my kids, we had that thing, no, we have friends there, we love that country. I wanted to prove myself that it's not something which will block me because of some souvenirs or bad souvenirs or whatever. we were happy, me and my kids there. They have friends, I have friends. We used to love that place where we used to live. We loved the weather also. So I decided, no, I will start from scratch. I will, it's kind of, I wanted to make like a big, how to say it, a big challenge to myself.
Right.
To come
and
back.
I guess you managed, that it's not easy to...
Till now, yes. Till now, I'm really happy. I'm doing fine, I think.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be really better.
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's always beginnings that are the most difficult.
Yes,
yeah?
yes, sure.
Okay. And like when you live in another country, then your personality also changes, right? Because it's like you have your inner growth as well. Can you tell us about a few words about it? For example, for me, like when I lived in England, then when I lived there, I also had different results in personality types. So it went to that extent. So what about you? How did Poland change you, like innerly?
I became more calm. I became more settled down. I feel like I'm not like before because I have that hot blood and like because I'm Tunisian. Even when I go, for example, to Tunisia or to Egypt, I feel like why it's crowded, why they're not, for example, respecting the lights. It changed me a lot. I became very calm, very cold, I would say.
You're cool, Feriel, now. Basically, you're cool.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, do you feel like you're like between the cultures? Like you're like not fully Tunisian in Tunisia, you're not fully Polish in Poland, and actually you would like to have both of the best of two countries?
Honestly, I feel like I'm Tunisian living in Poland. I don't have that that crazy thinking about am I Tunisian, am I Polish, am I... No, sure. But my kids, yes.
Okay.
When they go to Tunisia, they feel they are not Tunisian, they don't speak Tunisian. Everything there is...
But what language do you speak at your home, like with the grandparents?
With French, yeah. My kids speak French with my parents, my brothers. So in Tunisia they feel they are not Polish, Tunisian, and in Poland they don't feel like they are Polish because you can see that they are not Polish.
And where did they adapt it better?
Yes, now they're... When we came, no, because we didn't feel that because they were in an international school, so we had a lot of international foreign...
That's where we met.
Exactly. But then when they started to go to Polish schools, they started to ask me, we are Polish, we are Tunisian, we are Egyptian, what we are exactly.
And what did you tell them?
I said you are the best of each part.
All right. Yeah.
So try to take the best from each part of those countries, and you are all this.
Right. So that's the smart way, I think. Yeah.
Because kids, they will not understand what does it mean. So I told them, because I believe in that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I have something for you that I didn't show you before. So we have an element of surprise.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So that is the acculturation model made by John Berry. He's a Canadian cross-cultural psychologist. And he made a model of how people adapt to different cultures.
Okay.
Okay. And I have the 4 pictures for you. I'm going to show it to the camera. Okay. So that is the first picture. Okay. Second. Third. And fourth. Feriel, you are the red person. Red guy, or red woman.
The red thing.
Yeah, the red thing. Red part, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and obviously the blue, they are like Polish people, right? And like just by the intuition, if you can choose one of the pictures.
And why?
And why, if you can explain where do you see yourself? and then explain to us why did you choose that, and then I'm going to tell you what does it mean.
Okay, so this you mean that they are separated. Okay. Me, I would see myself here.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm with...
Okay, I'm going to show it to the camera, okay? Okay, so that's the one.
And I think because it's like, I'm like them, and I'm with them.
Right.
Here, I don't want to be alone. I'm not that kind of person who wants to stay alone. Here, I feel like it's a little bit far from them. Here I'm not separated because they are Polish. I have to stay only with Tunisians or whatever. So I see myself more here.
Okay. So I will tell you. Yeah, I will tell you everything. I will tell you the one you chose as the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one, where is the only one guy? Okay. It's marginalization. It means that you reject your host culture and you reject your home culture. Right. So here you don't belong anywhere. Okay. This one.
Yeah.
This one is assimilation. And in assimilation, it means that you accepted the host culture, but you rejected home culture. Okay, and this one.
Why you're keeping in mind the rest? Did I say something wrong?
So you're more curious. Okay, and that's the separation. Separation is like you retain your home culture and you reject the host culture. All right, so you are getting separated. And the last, the last one, this one is integration, right? Integration is obviously you are accepting both of the worlds. So that's actually what you said, yeah. So okay. We must say like by intuition you chose what you pledged before. So here you accept the host culture, and you're retaining your home culture. What do you think your children would choose?
I think like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have friends. They are really sociable, like me. They don't have that problem. Here, it's they feel like they're in their country, and there they feel like they're in. Oh no, I think they will choose this one. Yes. But I promise I will make the same thing with them.
Yeah, you can give it to you.
Okay.
It is the most optimal if we talk about emigrating somewhere and being in a foreign culture. That is the most optimal for everybody. Yeah?
Otherwise, stay in your culture, culture, preserve it, and don't. But as long as you left your country, as long as you started to know other people and everything, normally you have to be integrated. Of course, you keep what you love, what you miss in your culture. You can do it at home, like me, for example, I'm cooking Tunisian at home. But I live here and I love here. And what's the problem? Everyone should do that, I think.
Yeah, and this one is also the best, like obviously for you, because it's like keep you healthy mentally. Yeah, but it's also good for the surrounding. When people that immigrated, they mix up with local people. Yeah, so you don't have this kind of ghettos. Yeah, so separated and then want to cooperate. Okay. The next thing I would like to do with you is like the very, very short one, SWOT analysis.
Sure.
You know, you worked in corporations. So,
I know.
Yeah. So let's think Poland, right? So like made like the 2 bullets for each one. So what's the strengths of Poland? Just 2, the most important.
Like what I think about in general. The infrastructure. And nature and everything, and the way how it's getting to be open economically, internationally.
How it grows, yeah. Okay, and weaknesses?
I don't want to be really...
Yeah, you can, come on. I will protect you.
Sure.
Yeah, promise.
Okay, weaknesses, how much the language is hard.
All right,
to learn.
Definitely. Do you hear us like the broken radio? Like
No. Because I can articulate that because I'm Arabic. So
I think I heard somewhere, maybe you can tell me if it's true, that like actually if you speak Arabic, then you can speak any language in the world because it has all the sounds.
We have even all the sounds, the letters. We have even letters which are more stronger than Polish. But the grammar is really...
Okay, so that's the grammar, not pronunciation.
Yeah,
okay.
The grammar, not the pronunciation. Okay, the second weakness is... I'm so sorry to say that, but the majority of all people, they judge a lot immigrants.
Yeah. As you said, I think it is it will graduate according to the age, and the experience.
I'm so sorry, Anna, but with all my respect to all people I know who are really nice, and I have
your
a lot
neighbor,
of friends.
your neighbor
is
all that nice.
It's really amazing, but some of them they are a little bit judgy.
Okay, what about the opportunities?
Poland? Trust me, it will be one of the biggest and richest country economically speaking. I see that. Like, I feel it will be.
Okay, so why is that?
Because they are getting.
So?
Because me, I read a lot about economics and stuff. Poland, it has that potential now. If they will finish like this, on the track. Economically speaking, they are making a big growth. And the good thing that at least the 10 past years, they started to open to corporations, to multinationals, and this is really good, I think, economically speaking.
Okay, and can you find another one? Okay, so you believe in our economy. That's nice.
Yeah, and economy, and I would say growth, even socially speaking.
Okay, so I think like this aspect of people being more and more open, like we could put it over here. What about threats?
Friends?
Threats.
Friends.
Threats. Like not at you, but for Poland as a country.
Poland? Yeah. With all my respect, because I'm no one to give my idea, but I'm just an idea.
Just an opinion. Yeah.
They have to seriously to stop thinking like immigrants are bad. They can sometimes think religiously also. They are coming here to try, because some people told me that you want Poland to be Muslim. Like I never said that, and I don't even want to do that. But
are you a Muslim?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they do like they have to stop those kind of. I think this is a big threat. And another.
So they think that they wouldn't fulfill the potential because of the mentality and not letting different people in to the country.
Exactly.
Okay.
And another threat, for example, in Poland. Politically, I'm not into. I don't even follow, so I don't know. So I don't see any. Seriously, I don't see any other.
Okay, I would like to talk about some differences now, and I have it named differences between Poles and Muslims, Poles and Arabs, and Poles and Tunisians, because we have to distinguish that, because like for the average person, that all would be the same.
Exactly.
Right. So let's focus first of Muslims. So for the first thing we would discuss would be the differences between, I guess, Catholics and Muslims. Because like Poland is strongly Catholic. So
I know.
What's the differences?
The difference between Catholics and Muslim in beliefs or in what they are doing.
In living, I guess, like we're talking about culture today, not religion.
For example, Muslim, they don't eat pork.
Yeah, do you eat pork?
No.
Okay.
For example, the way we pray, it's not the same way Catholic they pray. We fast. Yeah. Like fast, not the fast that they have here, not to eat, for example, meat or. The fasting is totally different. What else? You're not obliged, but we have. If you can go to make the pilgrimage. Here, the pilgrimage is totally different from ours. We have that holy Ramadan month.
That's when you fast. Yeah.
Exactly. It's more spiritual. What else? I think that's it.
Okay. Can you tell me about eating pork? So why Muslim people do not eat pork?
Okay. You want the...
I heard your discussion with you and David in Bisk, but
So that's why...
I have an idea, but I think it's worth sharing. So.
Okay. So you want a scientific answer, or
Both.
you want the...
Both.
Okay. Scientifically... Okay. We as Muslim, we can't eat pork because pork eats everything. And it eats even dead bodies, it's their breasts, whatever. And scientifically speaking, the pork has it's that kind of animal which is nearest to the human body.
Right.
And in Islam, they say that there is something like one kind of bacteria, or I don't know, whatever. It's in the body of porks that will never die.
Okay.
And it will not be cooked even more than 100
But
degrees.
what can it do to you?
It can harm the human body. That's why, for example, seriously, I don't like to talk about that because I don't want to be misunderstood or something. Even try to see people who eat pork a lot, you will find spots on their hands, their back.
Yeah, now I think like the red meat, but it's both pork and beef, they are considered to be the cancer risk, like alcohol and cigarettes and so on.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about alcohol?
Alcohol, I will not say that a lot of Muslims, they don't drink alcohol. Some Muslims, they drink alcohol, and some no.
So it's more acceptable to drink alcohol than to eat pork?
Yes, and I don't know why, to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, the cultural things are often very difficult to explain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
So,
you can find someone who, for example, who doesn't eat pork, but drinks, and you can find also Muslim, they eat pork and they drink, and you can find someone who doesn't eat pork, who doesn't drink, and in Islam it's forbidden to drink alcohol. Why? Because you don't know how you will do when you drink. Some people, they will be aggressive.
So you're losing your control. Yeah.
Exactly. You will lose your control, you'll become aggressive, that's why it's really nice to avoid anything which can harm you or the people around you.
Do you drink alcohol?
No.
Okay. And I wanted to ask about pilgrimage, because like the Muslim person is obliged to go to Mecca, yeah? Did you go?
Yeah, I went.
Okay, how was that? Because it looks amazing on the pictures, you know, like it's like so many people, you know, going around.
The first time I went, first time I saw it, I started to cry.
Right.
Because I was feeling so peaceful. In a way, I would, at that time, I would accept any kind of anything in my life. Even if I would die, at that time I would be very happy. It was really peaceful. It was like a cure. Honestly, I was feeling sad when I was going out from there. Because it was really peaceful. It was really like you don't do anything. You go, you eat, you drink, you sleep, and then you go to pray. You hear.
So how long do you spend in Mecca? Do you go to that to the place, to that black stone once, or
it's called Umrah. Umrah, it means like it would take you even 1 hour, 1 hour and a half to do the whole thing. And Umrah is something, and pilgrimage is something else.
Oh, right.
So
okay,
Umrah,
so
you can do it. Yeah, Umrah, you can do it anytime during the year, any day, any time, no problem. But Al-Hajj, which is pilgrimage, it has 1 month, which is really soon in August. It's like to celebrate how Abraham didn't slaughter his son, because in Islam there is like a whole surah speaking that he was slaughtering his son, and then by a miracle he changed. And so we are celebrating Hajj for that. That's why at the end, the last day, we slaughter lamb or So this is the difference. Hajj is long. Because it has a lot of things to be done. Umrah, you can do it like
just a walk. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the biggest gathering of people in the world, isn't it?
Trust me, you can see Americans, Germans, French,
So
black people.
how is it
Africans.
entering the Saudi Arabia? Because I think like for a long time it was you were only allowed to Saudi Arabia if you were the Muslim or you worked there. They didn't have tourist visas.
No, they have Umrah and Hajj visa actually.
Okay, so that's like the exception that you can go.
Yeah, you can go. And me, for example, I can go by myself and...
Yeah, but you're a Muslim.
Even if I have to take, even me, Muslim, it's sad. But I have to take a Umrah visa or Hajj visa.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, so that's the difference between, if we talk about Muslims, what's the difference between Muslims and Arabs? Because like in Poland we like exchange the terms, yeah?
Muslim and Arabs? Arabs, it's like people who live in a certain what we call now Middle East. This is Arab. This is the Arabic land. For example, me, I'm Tunisian. I'm not Arabic. I'm Muslim, but I'm not Arabic.
But you're not Arabic.
Arabic is mainly that Middle East now.
Is it just Arabic Peninsula, or what about the Morocco, Egypt?
It's North Africa. We are not even Arabs, because Arabs, they are like tribes, you know. Like you say Vikings, you say I don't know what. But Arabs, it's those people who live in that piece of land which is called the Arabic land, which is Saudi Arabia, Middle East now. Okay. The Gulf.
I can tell you something interesting, like what is taught in school in Poland. So, according to the school, the Arabs are people from North Africa and Arabic Peninsula, and then like Muslims in Malaysia or Indonesia, they are not. But it's like the Arab term is extended on North America as well, and you're saying that they are not Arabs.
No, we are not North Africa. I mean Egyptians, Libyan, Tunisia, Algeria, and the North Africa, we are not Arabs.
Okay.
We are something called Amazigh. It's totally different from being, and it's older than Arabs. But Arabs, it was the tribe of Arab people who live there. But because we are Muslim, they say they are Arab. Even Turkish, they say sometimes they say they are Arabs, but the Turkish are not Arabs.
They don't even talk Arabic.
They don't even talk Arabic, exactly, and they are not Arabs. So this is the thing, everyone is confusing. But
what about Tunisia? Can you place Tunisia among the Arabic or Muslim countries? Do you is it different for?
Yeah, it's different.
So can you explain the difference?
It's different because we are.
I think it's like the most liberal, of the countries.
Liberal, and the law is not like, for example, divorce in Tunisia. It's like in Europe. Women have more rights in Tunisia
than in Poland.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Like in salaries, for example, you have the same salary as the same guy who works with you, and you did the same studies. When you get a baby, you have more facilities, and Tunisia is.
How long is the maternal leave in Tunisia?
3 months, and then you have 3 months more. And I think when you finish a year, you can have also more, but you'll have half of your salary.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And Tunisia is one of the countries in the Muslim world. We are very open-minded. We don't judge people. We are very open to others because it's a touristic place, so everyone is coming. So we know what does mean different. Legally, also, the law is totally different. We have a lot of law. We don't go with the Islamic law, like for example in Saudi Arabia. The law is more French, like in France, because we were colonized.
More civic.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for that. And now, I have prepared these aspects for you about. The differences if we talk about the social roles. So how do you find it different being an employee here in Tunisia, in Tunisia? What's the difference?
Here in Poland, I think an employee can have that salary from the government or something, like the SMIG, I think, to help people who are not working.
For a while, yeah.
For a while, yeah. In Tunisia, no.
Okay, if you don't have work, then you don't have money, basically.
You have to work. An employee here, at a certain time, I think he has to go to work. Otherwise, they will stop that money from the government to him or to her, right? I think this is the only difference.
Okay.
Here, they pay an employees in Tunisia now.
But did you work in corporations in Tunisia or not? Or did you? Because in Poland you did.
Yeah, in Poland
and in Egypt. Okay, so can you compare that one, like working in corporation? Like what is it in one country and in the other one?
In Tunisia and in. Trust me, it was the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been working like corporations, and it happened that Americans, so they don't. Maybe they change a little bit when it's here in Poland. They pay more than in Egypt, for example. But it's the same. Everything is the same.
It's
the facilities,
international.
Yeah, because they have the same facilities.
Yeah.
They have the same things. No, didn't. See
and in both places, did you work in international team?
In Tunisia.
No, in Egypt and in Poland, they were always the international teams that
I
worked.
always worked in international everything.
Okay. Okay, so that would be quite similar. What about being a woman?
Here?
Like, here being a woman in Tunisia.
To be honest,
I guess, like, you know, we have lots of stereotypes about being a Muslim woman.
Yeah. I heard a lot. I heard a lot. Me, as a woman, as a Tunisian woman, I feel like women in Tunisia, they have more rights than here.
Okay, so
in so many things.
Like what?
Like it's my opinion, and I respect the others. For example, me, a woman, she's free to choose what she wants to do in her life. For example, abortion. This is what I don't understand in Poland. Why? Because it's her choice. It's her. Why?
Her body.
First, it's her body, and why you oblige her to leave a kid she doesn't want, or she's not ready for, or she doesn't have money to raise, or whatever. So this is really. I don't understand why, and it really makes me a little bit angry sometimes. When
did you hear about the recent changes that, like, the Polish women are now obliged to carry on the pregnancy even if the child it is sure that he's going to die or he's going to be permanently ill?
Yeah, this is also I see it's in Tunisia. No, you're free. You want to leave your child. You want to miscarriage. You want to make an abortion. It's your call. It's your.
What about choosing a husband? Are they arranged marriages or?
In Tunisia, no. In Egypt, yes. Sometimes you find like a lot of. Like as if you're going to buy a car or something there. Both, for me.
Okay, so it's two families sitting by the table and negotiating.
Negotiating, and sometimes it's really weird. I was seeing that.
But you see, on the other hand, they are like they last longer than the Western European marriages.
Yes, I will tell you my point of view. When you marry someone you don't love, you will be happy after. Trust me. I think that, because for example our grandparents they never had divorce like nowadays.
But that's everywhere.
But this is exactly. But I think sometimes when you have planned everything in your life, I think it's better than fall in love and get married someone.
Yeah, I can see like a good sides of that, to be honest.
Trust me.
So how was it with your husband?
How?
Like, how did you meet? Did you fall in love, or did you?
It was a big story. We met actually we were both in training. We were in part of a program in an NGO. We met in Egypt. It was like we fell in love straight away. When I came back to Tunisia, like a month maybe after, he came to Tunisia to meet my parents, to see the country, and it started from there. Okay.
And like when you're getting married in Tunisia, like what I wanted to ask is what happens with the money, right? Because like the woman has some money, the man has some money, they're getting married. It's all put to one basket, or it's like you are keeping it on your sides, or like What's the arrangement?
You want the
the money you had before.
Oh,
because obviously when you are married and you are getting richer and richer, then you are putting it to one basket. But what happens with the money that both sides had before marriages?
We have, for example, when you get married in Tunisia and the day of the wedding, they will tell you want to share your things together, or if everyone has to wants to leave his properties by himself or herself. So. But mostly I see even my friends, my family, they're all together.
Okay. But that's something that you discuss just before getting married, yeah? So you can go either way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like here, they can share, they can help each other. Sometimes no. Sometimes she wants to leave her money for herself.
You see, in Poland there is the law that the properties or the money you had before marriage, then it will be always just yours. And then the shared
after
money,
the wedding.
After the wedding,
Same.
So it's the same, yeah? Oh, right. Okay, so I didn't understand that well. Okay, what about being a mother? What differences can you see? How Polish mothers are different to Tunisian mothers?
Oh, here they're more soft. They are more cool.
So that's why after that, like you say, you're a Tunisian, you have fire in you. That's because you have it from your mother, yeah?
Exactly. From the culture, not only my mom. For example, in Tunisia, if your kid will do something, you will, your shoes, your slippers, and you throw them. This is normal to do that. We are more, in Tunisia, we are more strict. We are more...
it's why when we talk about being a mother, you say that your child they don't discuss.
When I was
and my child, they it's never ending discussion about everything.
They know because they know how it will end, and they know that they can't change my point of view, and I don't like negotiations.
Okay.
And they were raised that way. If you want something, let's talk. But I will always have the last word.
Right.
But you have to.
I like it.
That's why I told you in Poland they are more soft.
Okay. Okay. What about things I know that Polish moms are considered to be overprotective. You put another 3 blankets for sure. You're hungry. You're too cold. Is it the same in Tunisia? They always, because I heard Arabic mothers in this field they're quite the same.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, but maybe more. Trust me, sometimes it's a little bit more, especially I'm talking Tunisian, the Arab countries, the Muslims. When you have a son, he has to have the best thing, the best food. Yeah. But
what is the result of it? Is it the result is because of that the daughters have the tougher childhood, they are more enterprising, they can do more, or
no, it's not because our moms are really strong and our grandmoms were strong. So in Tunisia you can't be. In Tunisia there is no difference actually between man and a woman. Both yours are the same thing. We were raised that way. As a woman, I have my freedom to choose to say no to. For example, in Tunisia, it's really, really, really rare. Not like in other countries. They will oblige you to marry someone you don't like or you don't love. In Tunisia, we study a lot.
I checked the statistics, and I think it's the higher education score is the highest.
Exactly. You have to study. You don't have any option. You have to study. So when you study, of course you will have more ways to think than to accept to be what is the stereotyping, saying that we are victims and we are nothing and we are it's not true.
I think the biggest problem is that in Poland we consider Muslim as a whole. And the difference, as you say, between, for example, Tunisia and Saudi Arabia in women's rights is just
in Saudi Arabia, just last year they started to give driving license to women.
And this year they allowed
the music concerts and stuff.
Yeah, but this year, I think it was 1 month ago, I read that they allowed women to live on their own. right? Because
I don't know.
yeah, because before that, even if she earned a lot of money and she was independent writer or architecture or whatever, she still had to live with the men, with the brother or with the parents. And now from like a month ago, they are allowed
I'm not really
allowed to live.
Yeah, but I know that like since 1 year they started to drive cars, women.
Yeah.
The first woman pilot in Tunisia, she was in 1940 something. So see the gap, it's really different. So we are not all the same.
Yeah. It's what I'm saying. Like it probably is the biggest misunderstanding. Yeah. If you think, okay, Muslim, so she must be the
we are all Muslim, but unfortunately. And I think that even women there, they are not happy because they impose them that. I don't think they're happy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like I don't know because I don't know any woman, to be honest, from Saudi Arabia.
I went there and I saw, so I know how it looks like. Like you can't even. Sometimes there are malls only for women. You can't go, for example, with your husband to. Some malls are only for women. Sometimes you go to restaurants, you find women alone and guys alone. So it's really weird.
What about the house? Like in the house, you have the part for women and for men, or not?
In Saudi Arabia or in Tunisia?
In both.
In Tunisia, no. It's like
in Tunisia,
it's like here.
But
in Saudi Arabia, they have always that big, I would say, saloon or something, or guest room. It's only for men. For example, when a guy brings his friends, his family, his whatever, they stay only there.
Okay.
And even if they want to bring food or something to drink, the woman just put it in front of the door. She knocks and he takes, and they have that separate things always. I don't know. I don't know.
If there is something in your house and you can't look at it, it's highly interesting.
Everything hidden is wanted. So I guess,
What about like if I just throw at you the word feminism? What is it for you?
Feminism. The feminism as they are taken, as I see it, a feminism. Any woman is feminist.
Okay.
For me, any woman has to be strong. Any woman has to say no when she wants to say no. Any woman has to be only herself, the way she wants, the way how she respects herself. For me, this is feminism.
Okay, so you consider yourself to be a feminist?
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Like if you make decisions, you are a feminist, basically.
Exactly.
Okay, Feriel. So we are like coming to the end. What are the plans for the future? Are you going to stay in Poland?
Yeah.
So why is that?
I'm really happy here. I'm really myself here, and my kids are enjoying here. We love a lot. Even sometimes people they're laughing at me. They seriously we want to leave Poland, and I like the weather. I like the
because you like cold. Don't you?
I love cold. It's like when it's winter and it's snowing, I'm always out, and everyone is like she's crazy or what.
What about Lara and Yasin? Do they like winter?
Yeah. Like just yesterday we were talking about it's summer, and I said,
come on, it's not hot for you here,
exactly,
is it?
I said, thank God you're not in Tunisia. They told me, we never lived there, so for us here it's hot.
Yeah, that's
yeah, but we are really happy here, me and my kids. I feel like I started to have my orientations, my everything, so yeah, I'm not planning to leave anymore.
Okay, Feriel, I think that's it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It was really nice.